Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. Yeah, there's no place for it, and we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing. But I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it.
Have you ever felt like the whole world was against you? That's probably how Alyssa Thomas is feeling right now. The WNBA star just got suspended for calling out racism, but is she the villain or the victim in this story? Let's break it down. After a tough playoff loss, Thomas accused Caitlin Clark's fans of making racist comments. That's what got her suspended. Can you believe it? It all went down during a heated series between the Sun and the Fever. But here's where it gets crazy. There was this eye poke incident with Clark that got fans fired up. It was like adding fuel to an already burning fire. Now, this isn't just about Thomas or Clark. It's bigger than that. We're talking about the future of the WNBA and its growing fan base.
We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable. Basketball is headed in a great direction, but nah, we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us racial names.
How they handle this could change everything. Are you ready to dive deeper into this mess? You think this WNBA drama is new? Think again. The Thomas Clark incident is just the latest chapter in a long history of racial tensions in sports. What if I told you this same story has been playing out for decades? Let's rewind the clock and look at some past incidents. Remember when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in MLB? That was just the beginning. Since then, we've seen countless examples of racial tensions in sports. From Muhammad Ali's activism to Colin Kaepernick's kneeling protest. It's like a never-ending game where the players change.
Is that what did she travel? I think, where did they move Twitter to, or X? Did they move it to Austin, Texas? Was this game in Austin? And get invaded by social media? They played in an arena. Somewhere, I would imagine, in Connecticut.
But the rule book stays the same. Now, let's talk about what's happening in the WNBA. Alyssa Thomas, an 11-year veteran, said she's never experienced such racial comments from fans before. Can you imagine going to work every day and dealing with that kind of hate? It's not just about the game anymore. It's about survival in a hostile environment. But here's where it gets even crazier. Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation, is under a microscope too. She's a white player in a predominantly black league, and people are watching her every move. It's like she's playing two games at once, one on the court and one in the court of public opinion. Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't this just about sports? But it's so much bigger than that. These racial tensions are affecting players' mental health and performance.
I mean, we already see what's happening in the world and what we have to deal with in that aspect. And, we come to play basketball for our job and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that.
We don't want to have to go to work today and then she said, and have social media. Do you work on social media?
Thomas even said, we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's not just about points on the scoreboard anymore. It's about the toll it takes on these athletes as human beings. And let's talk about the fans for a second. Are some fan bases more problematic than others? It's a tough question, but we've got to ask it. Thomas called out the Indiana Fever fan base specifically. Is there something unique going on there, or is it just a symptom of a larger problem in sports? Here's the thing, understanding this history helps us see the Thomas Clark incident in a whole new light. It's not just about two players or one heated moment. It's about a system that's been in place for decades, creating an environment where these tensions can boil over at any moment. So, what can we do about it? Thomas is calling for the WNBA to take action against fan behavior, but is that enough? Maybe we need to look at the bigger picture. How can we create a safer environment for all players, regardless of their race? While we're talking about fan behavior, let's address the elephant in the room, social media. It's supposed to bring fans closer to the game, but what if it's actually pushing everyone apart? The screen in your hand might be changing sports forever. You know how social media can make you feel like you're right there in the game? Well, it's doing more than that. It's becoming a whole new playing field, and the rules are pretty messy. Let's talk about what's really really going on behind those screens? Remember when Thomas said she's never been called such horrible things before? That's because social media is like a megaphone for the worst kinds of fans. It's not just trash talk anymore. We're seeing real hate, and it's hitting players hard. And think about it. Thomas and her teammate DeJonae Carrington are getting bombarded with nasty comments every time they open their phones. Can you imagine trying to focus on your game with all that noise in your head? It's like playing with a crowd booing you 24/7. But here's where it gets crazy. It's not just the players who are affected. The whole narrative of the sport is changing. Coach Stephanie White said something that really hits home. We have allowed trolls in social media to frame the narrative of what the story is, and it's unacceptable. That's huge. It means the story of the game isn't just about what happens on the court anymore. It's about what's trending on Twitter. Now, you might be thinking, isn't social media also good for the sport? And you're right. It's helped make stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese household names. But that popularity comes with a price. More fans mean more trolls, more hate, and more pressure on the players. Let's talk about the fans for a second. Most of you are awesome, right? You love the game, you support your team, and you keep it respectful, but there's always that small group that takes things too far. And on social media, that small group can sound like a whole stadium. So what's the solution? Should we just turn off our phones and pretend it's 1995 again? Nah, that's not gonna work. Social media is here to stay, but maybe we need to think about how we use it. Here's an idea. What if we use social media to lift players up instead of tearing them down? Imagine if every time a player like Thomas or Clark opened their mentions, they saw nothing but love and support. That could change the whole game. But it's not just on the fans. The WNBA needs to step up too. They need to figure out how to deal with this new digital arena. It's not enough to just police what happens in the stands anymore. They need to think about what's happening online too. And here's something wild to think about. What if this whole mess actually leads to something good? What if it forces us all to have some real conversations about race, sports, and how we treat each other online? Maybe this is the wake-up call we all needed. Now, here's a crazy thought. What if the solution to all this drama isn't in the hands of the players or the league, but in yours? That's right, you might be the MVP in this whole situation without even knowing it. We've been talking about the players, the league, and social media, but what about you, the fan? You're not just watching the game, you're part of it. Think about it. Every time you cheer, every post you make, every comment you leave, it all adds up. You're shaping the culture of the sport. And right now, that culture needs some serious work. But here's the good news. You have the power to change it. Remember how Alyssa Thomas said something needs to be done about fan behavior? Well, that's where you come in. You can be the change. It's not just about sitting back and watching anymore. It's about stepping up and making a difference. So, what can you do? Let's start with the basics. When you're at a game, keep it clean. Cheer for your team, but don't tear down the other players. And definitely don't make it about race. That's not cool, and it's not what sports are about. But it's not just about what happens in the arena. Remember how we talked about social media being a problem? Well, you can flip that script. Instead of joining in on the hate, use your voice to spread positivity. Show some love to players who are getting unfair treatment. Call out racist comments when you see them. Be the voice of reason in a sea of trolls. And here's something wild. You can actually make the WNBA better by being a good fan. When you create a positive environment, players can focus on their game. They're not worried about what's being said about them online. They're just playing ball. And isn't that what we all want to see? You know what's cool? Some fan communities are already doing this. Take the Seattle Storm fans, for example. They've been known for creating an inclusive environment that welcomes everyone. They cheer for their team without putting down others. That's the kind of energy we need more of. Or look at what happened with the Las Vegas Aces. When their star player Aja Wilson spoke out about racial issues, the fans rallied behind her. They didn't just support her on the court, they supported her voice off the court too. That's what being a real fan is all about. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm just one person. How much difference can I really make? But that's the thing. You're not alone. There are thousands of fans just like you who want to see the WNBA thrive. Together, you can create a tidal wave of change. Imagine if every fan decided to be an advocate for positive change. If every time a player checked their social media, they saw nothing but support and encouragement. If every game was played in an atmosphere of respect and appreciation for all players, regardless of their race or background, that would be a game changer, right? And here's the kicker, by being a better fan, you're not just helping the players, you're making the whole sport better. You're creating an environment where new fans feel welcome, where young players can dream of joining the league without fear of harassment. You're building the future of the WNBA. So are you ready to step up? Are you ready to be more than just a spectator? Because the WNBA needs you. The players need you. This is your chance to be part of something bigger than just a game. This is your chance to make a real difference. Alright, let's wrap this up. We've seen how this WNBA drama isn't just about Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark. It's about the whole league dealing with racism, social media madness, and fan behavior gone wild. But here's the thing, we can fix this. You know what's crazy? You've got more power than you think. Every time you cheer, post, or comment, you're shaping the WNBA. So why not make it better? Spread some love online. Call out the haters. Be the fan you'd want if you were a player. Imagine if we all did this. The WNBA could be a place where players feel safe and respected, no matter their race, where fans lift each other up instead of tearing people down. That's the kind of league we all want to see, right? So let's make it happen. The ball's in our court now.